From Norman conquest to Nazi prisoners, discover the blood-soaked 1,000-year story of the Tower of London. This is the ultimate tale of royal executions, vanished princes, and the fortress that became Britain's most haunted landmark. Prepare for the most chilling historical adventure ever told.
Tower of London, fortress of blood and crown on the muddy banks of the Thames, where ravens circle ominously overhead and ancient stones whisper tales of betrayal, murder, and royal intrigue, stands Britain's most fearsome fortress, a place where queens lost their heads, princes vanished without trace, and the crown jewels have been guarded for centuries by legends as dark as the tower's blood-soaked history. This isn't just any medieval castle. This is the Tower of London, whose 1,000-year reign of terror and majesty has made it the most haunted, most notorious, and most captivating fortress in the world, where every stone holds secrets that could topple kingdoms and every ghost has a story that will chill your soul. The tower's sinister story begins in 1066 when William the Conqueror, fresh from his victory at Hastings, realized that conquering England was easier than controlling London's unruly population. The Saxon Londoners had already shown their defiance, and William needed a fortress that would strike fear into their hearts while protecting his Norman garrison from rebellion. The site he chose was strategic perfection, positioned to control river traffic, dominate the city's eastern approach, and serve as an escape route if the conquest failed. The original White Tower, begun around 1078, was an architectural statement of Norman dominance unlike anything England had ever seen. Rising 90 feet above the Thames, its massive walls were designed not just for defense but for psychological warfare, demonstrating to the conquered Saxons that their new Norman rulers possessed power and engineering capabilities that made resistance futile. The tower was simultaneously fortress, palace, prison, and symbol of foreign occupation that would define its dual nature for the next millennium. The first recorded prisoner arrived in 1100, Ranulph Flambard, Bishop of Durham, who had the distinction of becoming both the tower's first prisoner and its first escapee. Flambard's dramatic escape, accomplished by getting his guards drunk and climbing down a rope hidden in a wine barrel, established the tower's reputation as a place where even the most secure imprisonment could be overcome by cunning and courage. His successful escape also demonstrated that the tower's fearsome reputation was built as much on psychological intimidation as physical security. Under King Henry II, the tower evolved from simple fortress into a complex instrument of royal power, serving simultaneously as treasury, armory, royal residence, and state prison. The addition of multiple towers, walls, and defensive rings transformed the site into an impregnable fortress that could withstand siege while housing the most dangerous political prisoners in the kingdom. The tower's role as the guardian of royal treasures made it the symbolic heart of English sovereignty, while its dungeons became synonymous with the fate awaiting those who challenged royal authority. The reign of King John brought the tower its first taste of the royal blood that would later stain its history. John's use of the tower as a prison for nobles who opposed his tyrannical rule established patterns of imprisonment, torture, and execution that would characterize the fortress for centuries. The mysterious deaths of several high-profile prisoners during John's reign created the first whispers of murder and conspiracy that would become central to the tower's sinister reputation. The 13th century saw the tower's transformation into a royal residence fit for the Plantagenet court, with luxurious apartments, gardens, and recreational facilities that made it one of the most comfortable royal palaces in England. Kings regularly held court at the tower, foreign ambassadors were received in its halls, and royal ceremonies took place within its walls. This period of the tower's history demonstrates how it served not just as a fortress but as a stage for displaying royal power and magnificence. The establishment of the royal menagerie in the 13th century added another exotic dimension to the tower's character. Lions, elephants, bears, and other exotic animals given as diplomatic gifts were housed at the tower, creating a medieval zoo that amazed visitors and reinforced the monarchy's connections to distant lands. The presence of these dangerous animals added to the tower's aura of power and unpredictability, while their occasional escapes created dramatic incidents that became part of tower folklore. The reign of Edward I brought the tower's defenses to their peak with the construction of the outer curtain wall and the infamous Traitor's Gate. This water entrance, through which prisoners arrived by boat from Westminster, became one of the most feared portals in England. The sight of Traitor's Gate meant that your trial was over, your fate sealed, and your final journey had begun. The psychological impact of arriving through this gateway, knowing that few who entered ever left alive, became an integral part of the tower's function as an instrument of royal justice. The Wars of the Roses brought the tower some of its most infamous moments and enduring mysteries. The imprisonment of the young princes in the Tower, Edward V and his brother Richard, in 1483 created one of history's most captivating unsolved mysteries. Their disappearance while under the protection of their uncle, the future Richard III, has spawned centuries of speculation, investigation, and conspiracy theories. The discovery of children's skeletons in 1674 added physical evidence to the mystery but raised as many questions as it answered. The Tudor period transformed the Tower into a stage for some of the most dramatic executions in English history, beginning with the Duke of Buckingham in 1521 and culminating in a series of royal beheadings that shocked Europe. The Tower's evolution from fortress to execution ground reflected the Tudors' ruthless approach to maintaining power, where even queens and princesses could lose their heads if they threatened the dynasty's survival, and Boleyn's execution in 1536 marked the beginning of the Tower's most notorious period as a royal killing ground. Her 3-year imprisonment, trial, and beheading established the pattern for subsequent royal executions while creating the Tower's most famous ghost. Witnesses have reported seeing Anne's headless figure walking the grounds, carrying her severed head under her arm, a spectral reminder of Henry VIII's brutal treatment of wives who failed to produce male heirs. The execution of Catherine Howard in 1542 added another royal ghost to the Tower's supernatural population. Catherine's youth and beauty, combined with the questionable evidence against her, made her execution particularly shocking to contemporary observers. Her reported screams echoing through the Tower on the anniversary of her death became part of the fortress's growing reputation as one of the most haunted places in Britain. Lady Jane Grey's 9-day reign and subsequent execution in 1554 created perhaps the Tower's most tragic ghost story. The 9 Days Queen, executed at just 16 years old for a throne she never wanted, represents the ultimate victim of political ambition and religious conflict. Her reported appearances in the White Tower, forever young and bewildered by her fate, embody the Tower's role as a destroyer of innocent lives caught in the machinery of royal politics. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 brought the Tower some of its most famous prisoners when Guy Fawkes and his fellow conspirators were tortured in its dungeons. The use of the rack and other torture devices to extract confessions demonstrated the Tower's evolution into a center for enhanced interrogation that would make even modern intelligence agencies uncomfortable. The confessions extracted under torture provided the evidence needed to execute the plotters while establishing the Tower's reputation as a place where any secret could be revealed through sufficient application of pain. The English Civil War saw the Tower change hands multiple times as Parliament and Royalists fought for control of London. The execution of the Earl of Strafford in 1641, attended by a crowd of 200,000 spectators, demonstrated how Tower executions had become public entertainment as much as royal justice. The fortress's role during this period showed how its symbolic importance made it a prize worth fighting for, regardless of which side controlled it. The Restoration period brought new prisoners and new executions, but also growing public unease about the Tower's bloody reputation. The execution of Algernon Sidney in 1683 was notable for the crowd's sympathy for the condemned man, suggesting that public opinion was beginning to turn against the Tower's role as an execution ground. The fortress was becoming a symbol of royal tyranny rather than royal justice, a perception that would eventually lead to its transformation. The Jacobite risings of 1715 and 1745 brought the Tower its last major influx of political prisoners, including several Scottish lords whose executions marked the end of the Tower's role as a regular execution site. The changing nature of British politics, combined with growing public distaste for public executions, gradually transformed the Tower from an active fortress into a historical curiosity and tourist attraction. The Victorian period saw the Tower's rehabilitation as a symbol of British history rather than royal oppression. The appointment of the first official historian and the beginning of public tours transformed the fortress from working prison into historical monument. The discovery of various artifacts during restoration work, including torture devices and personal possessions of famous prisoners, provided physical evidence for stories that had become legendary. World War I brought the Tower back to its roots as a military fortress when German spies were imprisoned and executed within its walls. The execution of 11 spies between 1914 and 1916 marked the first use of the Tower for executions in over 150 years, demonstrating that even in the modern era, the fortress retained its capacity for judicial killing when national security was threatened. World War II saw the Tower's most famous modern prisoner when Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy, was briefly held there after his mysterious flight to Scotland in 1941. The tower's role in housing such a high-profile Nazi prisoner brought it full circle from medieval fortress to modern military prison, showing how its essential character as a place of confinement for dangerous political prisoners had remained unchanged across nearly a millennium. The post-war period transformed the tower into one of Britain's most popular tourist attractions, with millions of visitors annually coming to see the crown jewels, learn about famous prisoners, and experience the fortress's bloody history. The development of professional tour guides and interpretive programs brought the tower's stories to life for new generations while maintaining respect for the real human suffering that occurred within its walls. The crown jewel's residence at the tower since the 17th century has made it the guardian of British sovereignty's most powerful symbols. The collection, including the imperial state crown, the sovereign's orb, and the Kohinoor diamond, represents not just monetary value but the mystical authority of the British monarchy. The elaborate security measures protecting these treasures reflect their symbolic importance while adding another layer to the tower's reputation as an impregnable fortress. The yeoman warders, popularly known as beefeaters, have become one of the tower's most recognizable features. These guards, selected from military veterans with distinguished service records, serve not just as security but as living links to the tower's military heritage. Their ceremonial uniforms, traditional duties, and role as tour guides make them integral to the tower's modern identity while maintaining connections to its military past. The tower's ravens have become perhaps its most famous residents, protected by both tradition and law. The legend that Britain will fall if the ravens ever leave the tower has made these birds symbols of national survival, carefully maintained by a dedicated raven master. The raven's presence adds an element of ancient superstition to the fortress while connecting its modern identity to pre-Christian beliefs about birds as messengers between worlds. The ongoing archaeological investigations within the tower continue to reveal new secrets and confirm old stories. Recent discoveries have included execution sites, prisoner graffiti, and evidence of daily life within the fortress across different periods. Each new find adds depth to our understanding of how the tower functioned while sometimes confirming legends that had been dismissed as folklore. Modern conservation efforts face the challenge of preserving the tower's authentic character while accommodating millions of annual visitors. The balance between historical accuracy and public access requires constant vigilance to ensure that the fortress remains a genuine historical site rather than a theme park version of medieval England. The tower's role in popular culture has made it one of the world's most recognizable symbols of medieval history and royal power. Its appearance in countless films, books, and television programs has spread its reputation globally while sometimes distorting its actual history. The challenge for historians and educators is maintaining accurate understanding of the tower's complex role in British history while acknowledging its powerful hold on popular imagination. Today, the Tower of London stands as more than just a tourist attraction. It remains a working fortress, housing the crown jewels, maintaining military traditions, and serving as a symbol of British continuity across a millennium of dramatic change. Its story continues to evolve as each generation discovers new aspects of its history while adding their own chapters to this remarkable tale of power, imprisonment, and survival. The tower's enduring fascination lies in its unique combination of architectural magnificence, historical significance, and human drama. It represents the ultimate expression of medieval power while serving as a memorial to the countless individuals who suffered and died within its walls, making it simultaneously a celebration of British heritage and a reminder of the costs of absolute authority.
The tower proves that some places hold history in their very stones. From royal fortress to tourist treasure, it's witnessed Britain's darkest and most dramatic moments. Subscribe for more incredible British fortress stories, like If the Tower Fascinates You. Share your most chilling historical moment.